Good morning and welcome to 2020. Right, as you can probably hear, my voice is a bit croaky today, and unfortunately I think I caught a bit of a cold right on time for New Year's Eve. So today is the 1st of January, so welcome into the new decade, yay! So I have taken like everything I had in my house, but my voice is still that way, so I apologize, but I did want to make this video. I did try to make the video before going to New York, so a couple of weeks ago basically, in December, but looking back at it, I didn't film it exactly as I wanted it, so that's the new chance. I apologize for the voice. I will try to not sound too much like an old smoking auntie. So anyway, today I want to talk about goals, and this is going to be the first video in a sort of a series that I'm hoping to make, which will deal with setting goals and then planning and preparing as a writer during the year. So I'm gonna create a playlist for all the future videos as well as I post them, and the first video is this one, and then I'll have the second video probably next week coming out, so that we can sort of plan along with me and see how I plan, and I hope you guys are interested in that. I've always been interested in how other people plan, and I'm especially interested in other authors, especially self-published authors, on how they plan and prepare for, you know, writing new books and then publishing them and all that cycle that goes on. So without further ado, let's start. Today I'm going to talk about sort of like general goals for 2020, and then with each video I'll go more in depth with particular goals. And one thing I want to note is that I do have overarching goals for the whole year, but I do my planning divided in quarters. So every 3 months basically it's a new quarter, so I have specific sort of like smaller goals and plans for each quarter. So, but today I'm going to talk the yearly goals. So a couple of months ago now, I started doing sort of like just writing down things that I wanted to accomplish this year. And the main thing that I wanted to do, like you can see here, I did like a list with life and business things that I wanted to do, and also sort of like jotted down different ideas. I'm sorry, it's like the afternoon light. Things that I wanted to do next year, well, this year, I guess. The main thing is that I want to basically push my writing as far as like full-time effort, hopefully with a full-time income as time progresses. So because I mainly plan to be self-published, obviously there's a lot of work that goes into that, and there's a lot of planning that needs to go into that. So after I sort of just put down everything I wanted to do, from like writing this book or travel to that particular country, or whatever thing that I just thought I would like to do this year, then I kind of started figuring out what I could actually realistically accomplish and what I needed to do. If I could do, if I could plan for things like, if I want to do that, I need to do it in September or something instead of in March, because it would make more sense or whatever. So then I started dividing the year in quarters, and I've done most of the work for obviously the first quarter, and I have a few things that I want to do in the following quarters, and I haven't put them on this sheet in particular yet, because there's a couple of things that if I end up doing, I don't want to sort of spoil it for you guys. But I have a few things planned for the rest of the year, like in specific months, but I did plan specifically for the first quarter. But that I'll sort of go more into detail in another video, as I said before. So the big goals for this year are to go full-time basically with my writing, and the idea is to write 20 stories in 2020. Now, the stories can be from short stories to full-length novels and novellas and whatever else. So I'm not going to be able to write 20 full-length novels. I know that. That's just like, I know I'm not going to be able to do that, but I do like the idea of being able to write 20 stories. And I've been wanting to go back to sort of write short stories, which I haven't done in a while. So I think this year would be good to try and write a few of those out, plus, novellas and stuff like that. So experiment with different lengths and in different genres, especially because the full-length novel will be mainly romance, since if you followed my videos before, you know that I've been finishing up my romance novel, the first in a series, which I'm planning to publish this year. So obviously a lot of those novels that I hopefully write in 2020 are going to be romances. But I am also a fantasy and somewhat science fiction writer, so a lot of those short stories and maybe novellas will probably end up being fantasy and science fiction. And my goal is to actually write them and edit them, basically have them in a finished state. And I know some of them will get published in 2020. I'm using positive affirmations for that, so I'm sure that I will publish some of them this year. But some of them, especially short stories, which I'm planning to like submit to magazines and stuff, I know that the deadlines are not going to be entirely in my hands, so I'm not going to be bothered by the fact that I don't publish 20 stories this year, because some of them will be sort of out of my hands really on when they're going to be published and if they're going to be published. But I want to have them finished and ready and, you know, whatever, submitted, self-published, queried, whatever that ends up being. So that's the main goal. One goal that kind of goes with it is the fact that I want to write at least 1 million words this year. I know it sounds a lot, but if you divide it by each month, it's roughly sort of like 83,000 something words per month. And if you take into account not writing every day, but writing sort of like 5 days a week, roughly, so basically taking weekends off and possibly a few days of holidays as well during the year, you do end up with an average word count per day of about between 4,000 and 5,000 words each day, which for me is exactly what I want my routine to be. I've been starting up since November, when I started writing the romance novel during NaNoWriMo. That's my goal. My goal is to sort of hit an average daily of between 4,000 and 5,000, aiming for 5,000 words per day. This is, I think, a good amount of words for me to write. That's what I want to be as a writer. I know there's lots of people who write less, and even famous writers who write every day. They may write, I don't know, 1,000 words, 2,000 words, or whatever, you know, 3 pages, 5 pages, however many words that ends up being. And I absolutely don't want to say that this is how any of you should do it or anything like that. This is just my personal goal. And I think this is just my way of sort of planning for my career, essentially, as a writer. And I do have a lot of ideas and a lot of things that I want to accomplish. So I feel that having a word count like that and having a goal of 20 stories and all of that, this is what I need to do. And nothing is set in stone. If in like 3 months or something I realize that my best average is like 3,000, then, you know, that's it. But I do feel that I can push myself at least to 4,000 and probably to 5,000 in the couple of months. I know you're not going to start and be like from the 2nd of January every day 5,000 words, like perfect, but I am aiming to sort of build up to that. So those are my main goals. They are sort of like easy to say, but kind of difficult to accomplish, I guess. But I didn't want to go more specific as far as goals for the whole year. There's a few minor, like smaller goals of like keep up with the YouTube channel and grow it, and then, you know, all the work related to my other freelance business, which is cover designing, which I want to expand and, you know, pick it up again and all of that. But those are sort of like, they are valid goals, but they are sort of smaller in the whole kind of big picture kind of thing. So this is where I'm at. And as I said, I am planning quarter by quarter. So I have already planned pretty much most of the first quarter, because obviously we already started it. And the main thing is going to be to publish at least 2 of my romance novels, the first 2 in the series. And then I have my Writing Prompts book, and I'm going to publish 1 in January, so this month, and then 1 in February, and hopefully 1 in March. I'm not sure yet, but either March or April, depending on sort of how I go on with the other stuff. And then I do want to continue on the YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel will be slightly different than the first few videos that I did last year, mainly because I am going to add some booktube related content, because I do read a lot and I do love books. And I do enjoy watching like the readathons and stuff like that. So I think I'll try to do a few videos about that as well. And But yeah, I'll continue doing vlogs and the sort of like the challenges that I did, and do more writing experiments and stuff like that, and obviously talk a lot about self-publishing, because this is sort of what I'm doing. So I think it might be interesting for you guys, if you're planning, especially if you're planning on self-publishing, to sort of follow along and see if you can gain some insight, or, you know, watch me make mistakes so you don't make them. I'm not an expert on pretty much anything in this world, so I'm not kind of putting myself out there as a guru of anything. I just think that if you follow along with me, maybe you'll have, you know, just another person going for self-publishing, and maybe I'll find some interesting stuff that I can relate to you, and you can watch me do stuff and see what worked and what didn't, and see if you can apply it to your journey as a self-published author, or as an author in general. So that's the kind of the main thing that I wanted to do. And as I said, I am going to go a bit more in depth into planning for the first quarter in another video, so I don't make this one extremely long. And so yeah, let me know in the comments what are your goals, like the big goals for 2020, if you set any. Maybe some of you didn't. For example, I never set resolutions. I just never did, and I probably never will. But I do like setting goals. I didn't really set any goals last year, and I think that kind of bit me in the butt, because I feel like I've accomplished much less than what I could have done if I had a clearer idea of what I wanted to go during the year. So this year I'm trying to plan as much as possible, knowing that things change and my plans are all flexible, but at least it gives me an idea of a direction of the things that I want to accomplish. So let me know in the comments what you think, and what are your plans, and how is January starting for you. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!